At first glance, northern Sweden looks like paradise. Beautiful nature, fresh air, endless forests, but don't let that fool you. Life here is absolutely terrible. With only 48 hours of summer, an average temperature of 25 degrees, only 15 after taxes. Last year, luckily enough, on a Saturday and Sunday. 16 months of winter a year. Our calendar says 1 year only has 12 months. Northern Sweden disagrees. No supermarkets. You will need to find your own groceries. Or grow it yourself. The nearest supermarket was last seen in 1997. Terrible parental leave. Sweden is famous for having some of the worst parental leave in the whole world. Imagine being forced to spend time with your own kid. Absolutely unacceptable. The nearest airport is 3.5 days away by sled. Need to catch a flight? No problem. Just pack some snacks, hook up the sled dogs, and begin the 3.5 day journey to civilization. No internet, water, or electricity. Video was uploaded in the nearest library only 15 hours away on a good day. It is too isolated. Your only friends will be the animals. Even 75 billion mosquitoes. Alright, jokes aside. Let's go through those 7 points again. This time, seriously. So first, summer only lasts 48 hours? Not quite. In reality, summers are shorter than in much of Europe, but they are also surprisingly pleasant. Temperatures regularly reach 20 to 25 degrees, and with the midnight sun, the days seem endless. So no, you don't have to schedule your annual barbecue between 3 and 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. So now winter. This is the one stereotype that does contain at least a little bit of truth. Winters in northern Sweden are long. Depending on where you live, snow can arrive in October or November and stick around well into April. But that's also what makes this region so unique. For several months, the landscape is completely transformed. Lakes freeze over, forests are covered in snow, and activities like skiing, snowmobiling, and ice fishing become part of everyday life. Of course, winter isn't just about snow. The biggest challenge for many people is actually the lack of daylight. Around December, the days become very short, especially the further north you go. Some people love the cozy atmosphere, and others find it a little more difficult. Personally, we think the key is to embrace the season instead of fighting it. Because if you spend 6 months waiting for winter to end, northern Sweden probably isn't a place for you. Next, supermarkets. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to hunt for your own food in a forest. In our case, the nearest supermarket is about 20 minutes away by car, which is perfectly normal for many rural areas. For larger shops, shopping centers, hospital, and other services, the nearest city is about an hour and 10 minutes away. So yes, distances are greater than what many people are used to, especially if you're coming from densely populated country. But it's not the wilderness. You still have access to all the services you need. It just requires a bit more planning.
Papa nog een kusje geven, Logie?
And is it terrible parental leave? Sweden actually has one of the most generous parental leave system in the world. For each child, parents receive 480 days of paid parental leave, which can be divided between them. As a result, it's very common to see both mothers and fathers taking extended time off to care for their children. In fact, seeing dads with strollers during the weekday is completely normal here. The system isn't perfect, and the exact compensation depends on your circumstances. But Sweden places a strong emphasis on family life and work-life balance. So no, you're not forced to spend less time with your children here. If anything, Sweden makes it easier to spend more time with them. And coming from the Netherlands, one of the things we notice is how normal parental leave is here. Nobody seems surprised when parents take significant time off to be with their child. And in reality, the nearest airport is only 1.5 hours away from where we live. And that's not very different from what we were used to in the Netherlands. Of course, northern Sweden is more remote and distances are generally larger, but you're certainly not cut off from the rest of the world. From the airport, you can fly to Stockholm and to connections and destinations across Sweden, Europe, and beyond. So, no dog sleds required. At least, not yet. And now to the internet, electricity, and running water. As you can probably tell from the fact that you're watching this video online, it's not really a problem. In fact, we have fiber internet, which is probably better than what many people expect from a rural area in northern Sweden. For water, we have our own drilled well. They actually ended up drilling a second well because there was so much water available. And the quality of the water is incredible. It's clean, fresh, and comes straight from the ground.
Logie.
As for electricity, we definitely have that too. In fact, we are completely dependent on electricity because we don't have gas. Our house is heated by a heat pump, and we even have an underfloor heating through the entire house. So while northern Sweden is known for its wilderness, modern infrastructure is certainly not something we had to sacrifice. And finally, it's too isolated. This is probably the most subjective point on the list. Yes, there are fewer people here. The towns are smaller, the distances are greater, and you don't have the same crowds or busy social life that you might find in a larger city. But that doesn't automatically mean you're isolated. In fact, one of the things we've noticed is that we actually have better contact with our neighbors here than we ever had before. People are incredibly helpful, especially during the winter months, when everyone understands that sometimes you need to rely on each other. There is so much more sense of community than many people expect. We also have a guest house, so friends and family can come and stay with us, which fortunately happens quite regularly. And while we may see more wildlife than people on some days, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. For us, the biggest difference is that we spend less time with people. It's that the time we do spend together feels more meaningful. So yes, northern Sweden is less populated. But for us, it certainly does not feel isolated. So in conclusion, we have supermarkets, we have internet, electricity, we have airports, and some are actually less longer than 48 hours. Mosquitoes, however, that part was mostly true. So should you move to northern Sweden? Honestly, probably not. But if the idea of nature, forest, lakes, freedom, peace, and a little bit of adventure sound as exciting to you, then maybe you should.